on Fargo CW.
Thank you for joining us tonight at 9. I'm Sydney Zatz. Fargo's homeless situation has become a hot topic lately, and it's one we at Valley News Live have been following and researching for months. Valley News team's Ethan Kramer spoke to local law enforcement, city leaders, and advocates, and acquired never-before-seen body camera video of police interactions with the homeless. He shows us more about the problem and the search for solutions in this VNL investigation.
Fargo, a city of around 130,000 people, a powerhouse football program, and a growing homeless problem.
A homeless man is facing charges accused of sexually assaulting a woman at a camp near the Red River.
The homeless crisis appears to be only getting worse.
Fargo city leaders continued their conversation about solving the homelessness problem.
Homelessness has been a hot topic for a while in the Fargo area. On September 3rd, Fargo City Commission approved an ordinance that made it illegal to camp on public property.
Roll call vote, please.
Pepcorn.
Aye.
Kolpak.
Aye.
Turnberg.
Aye.
Strand.
Yes.
Mahoney.
Aye. Camping is no longer permitted in the city of Fargo on public land.
And then on September 18th is when the ordinance went into effect.
Hello, Fargo Police. Fargo Police Department.
Police Department, anyone here?
In this body cam footage released to Valley News Live shows officers going throughout the area telling encampments they need to move.
You guys are familiar with the camping ordinance and everything? That just went into effect, no camping underneath critical infrastructure. So if you guys are here in violation, you could be arrested, so just letting you know, okay?
There's a new ordinance in Fargo that prohibits camping on public property. The ordinance prohibits camping anywhere on any public property in the entire city of Fargo.
Fargo Police, can you wake up? No. Right now. No camping here.
How you expect me to leave? If you kick me out from here and engagement and graduate and kick me out, so where do I have to go?
Set the engagement center. Yep. That's our expectation.
Engagement
center. Engagement center harm reduction to find a new place.
I did tell.
As expected, not every interaction was going to go perfect. Brenda Derrick and Chandler Esslinger from the city have tackled the homeless problem head on.
Pretty much weekly we have done we've done outreach and then done a relocation with some campers and then also a cleanup.
We know all of the individuals who are currently living outside and trying to work with them on getting connected to housing, and actually we've been able to successfully house several folks who had been living along the river already since the ordinance was implemented.
Once the ordinance and resolution went into place, many thought the homeless problem would just disappear. But that wasn't the case, because where would the people go? What the ordinance did was make camping illegal on public property, but there is also a resolution that may get forgotten.
As a no camping ordinance on public property, in addition to a no camping ordinance, there is a resolution that talks about enforcement areas. And so part of that was to look at enforcement areas. And so within 100 feet of the bridge, structure was one of the enforcement areas. Within 30 feet of the trail.
Throughout the area, all shelters are currently full. Esslinger believes that's playing a big part.
Part of the reason we have this issue with folks having to sleep outside is because all of the shelters in our area are currently full. Part of this ordinance and resolution implementation was to set some standards and expectations for what we're allowing in terms of the camps.
A person who has been very outspoken about the homeless problem in the city of Fargo is Fargo City Commissioner Michelle Turnberg. She says she has never seen this many homeless people in the area.
I've never seen it this populated before. You know, prior to that, I don't remember ever seeing these many camps set up in town.
Turnberg believes the homeless problem began once FPD moved their headquarters from downtown Fargo.
We don't have police station downtown anymore, but we have the DEC, the Downtown Engagement Center. And I think that's really when a shift happened where people had a noticeable difference in seeing so many more homeless people.
Turnberg also says she has been told by many people how they don't feel safe going along the Red River because of the encampments.
I get a lot of people that have contacted me, concerned, expressing their frustration.
Cass County Sheriff Jesse Johnner even has his concerns over the current homeless problem in Fargo.
Well, I obviously have concerns about the homelessness problem in Fargo as well, right? I mean, we don't want people to be homeless. We don't want people to be living out on the streets. That's not good for anyone. I think, again, mental health, addiction, I think those things have a large factor in, or play a large factor in homelessness.
Now, if someone were to be arrested for continuing to violate the ordinance, would the jail be able to house them?
As long as we have room, if a person did end up getting a warrant off of their infraction violation, we would most certainly, if we had room, house them in that type of situation.
Now, the Cass County Jail has a population of 348, and the average population has been somewhere between 320 to 330, according to Sheriff Johnner.
Every week, prioritize people based on the crimes that they're committing. If they're committing a violent felony or a felony level charge, those individuals most definitely are going to come into our facility. We'll find some room somehow, whether it's in ours or we have to move that person to another jurisdiction and house them there.
Now, as the sheriff just said, being able to house anyone arrested for camping outside wouldn't be a problem. Now, the ordinance and resolution are just a start, and there's many questions you may have. So what's the next step?
Our main goal is to ensure that we create an environment where no one has to sleep outside because everyone has a place to live.
Now, there have been 0 arrests or citations given so far, so this won't be a fix overnight. This is a nationwide issue. The city of Fargo is just now a part of it. As seen, the city is trying to make strides in the right direction to help combat the growing homeless problem. In Fargo, Ethan Kramer, Valley News Live.